So obviously the Bitcoin price is DOA for the 350th day of this year. So I wanted to just, have lighten it up the mood, maybe change things up and do this little hologram theory from Charlie Kirk, and then we'll watch it. I'll watch your comments, and then I'll tell you, the pros and cons of this one. It's a little bit wild, but let's take a look.
All of you have noticed online that a lot of people are talking about why these people are allowed to be in this canopy. Why isn't this marked as a crime scene? And why is this guy in the white shirt taking the most very important camera down? Well, here's why. Because it's not a crime scene. A crime didn't take place here, and that's not a camera. Now, before I tell you what it is, I want you to get a real good look as he's taking it down. It's called a hologram projector. And if you don't believe me, you can go look them up online. And they're not cheap. Usually $20 to $60, $70, $80,000 for these things. Now, Hollywood calls them hologram stage projector. Charlie's little tent, there's a perfect square. And as you can tell, it's 10 foot squared, 10 foot all the way around. And it's about 9 foot tall. That has to be for the projection to work. Now, let's explain.
For smaller spaces, the projectors can be configured to elongate the projection path and maintain picture integrity. Eyeliner displays ideally require a minimum footprint of 10 feet square and a height of 9 feet to show full-size human figures. What you are seeing is a reflected image which is so true and realistic to the original as a virtual image. Many people perceive what they are seeing now as a 3D hologram. In fact, it is a 21st century take on a mid-19th century visual effect known as Pepper's Ghost, showing now on the relay screens. Thanks in part to the amazing optical properties of foil, combined with the light and picture output of Christie Digital high-definition projectors, the image has depth and opacity that actually supersedes the scale and definition of traditional 3D hologram.
Like I said before, 10 foot squared, 9 foot tall. This made this size for a purpose, because it is a hologram stage projection that you guys were watching.
These performers are holograms.
Every series, we take one step closer to achieving all of the sci-fi dreams.
It's pretty cool. You'll never have to miss a gig again. The gig can come.
We traveled to Paris to meet Ian O'Connell, director of the company that put this show on.
I recall we were being asked to produce a show from London to Florida where the interaction between the musicians and the audience would be as natural as two people being in the same room. And it was an experience that we'll never forget.
So how do they beam this band in live?
It's incredible that this really is a remote live gig. The signal from London takes less than a third of a second to go all the way around the world and be projected on the stage in the US. As well as the hologram making it feel like the band are actually in the room with the audience, the band can see the audience and actually interact and respond to what they're doing.
Now, when one thing that can always dismiss everything, which I've been trying to find, and maybe it just doesn't show up in my algorithm, but there was hundreds, if not 1,000, iPhone 4K 60 frames per second video going around, and I've yet to see a 4K video. I mean, everything's kind of grainy. Everything's a little bit distancy, almost like zoomed in, that kind of that granule you get with the 8-bit. But what strikes me about that one is that it, whether it's true or not, who knows? I mean, we're just going over things. What kind of tickles my spidey senses? I remember when the Russia-Ukraine thing started, and there was video of people or like soldiers, boots on the ground, running over hills with like these tanks from the 80s and 90s. I was like, is this war at this day? Like at this massive war in this day and age is still soldiers, running over hills, taking over cities with tanks. It seemed a little archaic to me, thinking that that's the way, but that's what we understand. So like when humans think about UFOs, we immediately think that they're kind of human-like, right? Because it's all we can do. We can't imagine things that we don't know, right? We just have to put this kind of human face to it, and then, these human-like UFOs, right? Because they have to be human-centric, because it's just what our imagination is. And then when I think about the stealth bomber and how it came out 20 years after it was invented. So for 20 years, they had this technology roaming around, no one would really know. And then you have to kind of carry that through to AI. What are we at? ChatGPT 4 or 5, right? It's like, it's not like they're Tuesday, they finish ChatGPT 6 and they release it the next day. We're like, who knows how advanced ChatGPT is right now, and how they're using it for, or what they're using it for now. And we just kind of get the dumbed down. It's still amazing for us because we can't fathom how bizarre AI probably already is, because we're just using this, as a Googler. Give us AI and we'll just use it as a Google. Right. And then the problem with AI for me is that I can bully it into saying whatever I want. So it's not really, it's not as factual as one might think. So a lot of arguments are like, well, let's AI it, let's grok it. And they'll get the answer like it's law. And then, I'll bully that answer into anything I need it to be. However, when it comes to the hologram aspect of it, we are imagining holograms as to our the limits of our knowledge to what it could possibly be. I think I see James said also 1980s coin up video games to make the image seem to float. Like we can refer back to our own sense of what a hologram was, and maybe could be. Like. What was it? What was the last one? Was a hologram of Tupac Shakur? At some festival, he came dancing, and it kind of, everyone thought it was amazing. That's like the ChatGPT 5, right? It was pretty good. It was like, remember Will Smith eating spaghetti, like the first would that be called AI? Yeah, like when they were making those videos, and they're all kind of uncanny valley. Like you knew it was pretty good. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. But it was still shitty, right? So same with the Tupac Shakur, like when we saw it for the first time, Laserface 2030, it was pretty amazing. Everybody was like, oh my God, that's great. That's so cool. Looks pretty real, right? And that's like the stealth bomber technology from 20 years ago. And that was probably 10 years ago, maybe. So our concept of how far a hologram can actually go is a little bit limited. Now, all dispelled with the release of... Don't you think it's weird that there hasn't been like a flood of 4K iPhone videos? Like, not that I ever want to see that again, but it would be interesting to see all of the video, like even where the alleged shooter jumps off the thing. There's a 4K video hub right there. And yeah, all the cameras weren't working. We've heard this forever. Cameras weren't working, right? How bloody convenient that the cameras weren't working, but they're out there. Even the footage of that shooter. So now I'm going to relate the shooter back to the boots on the ground, tanks coming over hills, Russia-Ukraine invasion. It's what we understand. We've seen assassinations. Our only Our only version of how it goes down is really a lone shooter. You know, it's like it's always a lone shooter. You know, and then if you get, you know, a little bit deep into it and, you know, it becomes like maybe a pro hit, whatever that is. But we've seen enough videos of pro hits to, you know, instill our imagination. Oh, pro hit. Okay, well, I get that. Oh, a lone shooter. Oh, okay, I get that. And so it's just what our brains know. We don't know anything else because we can't possibly know what we don't know when it comes to how these things can go off. But it's easily dispelled. I mean, once the video comes out, if it does, but it's like, do we really have to sit here and wait for all this? Like, where are all those kids' videos? There was thousands of kids with their phones up, right? That's 4K 60. Now it's probably far away, but it's got to be better than the footage that we're seeing. It just has to be. Now, if maybe it's my algorithm. If you guys see 4K video, you know, send me a link on Twitter, but not the actual one. Like, just, you know, like even the stuff that in that video there, it was right next to the tent, but it looked like it was from the 90s. You know, it looks like something I'd stick in my VCR and it'd have little lines going through it, and I'd still think it's pretty good. You know, that was right beside the tent. That should be crystal clear. Now, what has the price done? Well, yesterday at this very moment, 8 a.m., it was 112.9. And here we are again, building out this little bear flag. This is like the textbook bear flag. We almost broke out. We almost lost our liquor right down to Siggity 1.8% fib. We wicked down. I mean, that's to be expected. That's just the give and take of the exchange. The exchange is going to recoup. See all these people in profit here? The exchange doesn't like that. You can't. It's like winning prizes at a bank. Well, they're just going to, you know, cut into someone else's back end. You'll get a, you know, $4.99 fee, and you're like, whoa, what's this $4.99 fee? And you're like, you try to get it with your phone, and it's like it goes to a dead end. Then it's like, do I really want to phone the bank and see what this $4.99 fee is? You know, and then you do phone them, and then you end up on hold, and then East Indian you can't understand is trying to explain to you what it was. It's just not worth it. You do that to, you know, 1,000 people, they recoup their money, or 10,000 or 100,000, they recoup their money. So you can always basically wait for that 61.8. The great entry is 61.8 in a bull market too, because, you know, they're just going to take their money back, 61.8, and let it go again. Usually it eradicates most leverage. But I don't know, do people on this channel trade with leverage? I'd be surprised if it was a vast amount of people who did that. Is this the 4-hour chart? Yeah. Where is our channel of ascension? Way up there. So in order to, it would probably take us about here, 116, just to get back into that channel of ascension. Now, can we do it before Friday, where Bitcoin goes, if you can believe it, into a more deep slumber in the weekend? Look at this week. This is a, you know, kind of a textbooky coil up. If I were to be bullish, you know, price action not doing anything. How I kind of answer that, why is it not doing anything? It's because there's no fundamentals, right? There's no real, the big nothing burger last week with, like, think of for how many years straight the FOMC was a massive nothing burger. And we tried to make mountains out of molehills. It's the FOMC meeting. I can't, what's going to happen? Even though there's, you know, 99% nothing's going to happen. Then we got the 25% BPs. It's like, who cares? Nothing. It didn't move the market. Now, is that what it takes for it? It will really rearrange my concept of price action moving forward, because with the volatility back in the day, technical analysis was easier to define because technical analysis, for anyone who doesn't know, is just reaction to price action. It's not really, it's like talking about someone throwing a ball. I've used this analogy. You know where the ball is thrown, you know the trajectory. Well, it'll generally land here, right? But without that volatility, without someone throwing the ball, TA has no place. It's just you're trying to scalp. You can get down and dirty in the 15-minute, 5-minute, right? It's just you're grasping at technical analysis straws just to dopamine hits or whatever. But moving forward, I think in this, as Bitcoin matures, technical analysis will be almost like a monthly analysis of where the price has been if it moves like this. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. He told me he can't hold on. I'm like, what? How can you hold on this long? Get to the basic finish line. Like I had to convince him, just, wait 2 more months for the love of Christ there. Just wait. If you've waited 4 years in the weeds, he's arguably out of the weeds. And he says he can't hold on. He wants to sell. It's a weird human thing to think that you're going to sell at this point in the bull run. But I mean, sometimes when I think about it, the Bitcoin price, being a hodler, is almost like social media, whereas sometimes you can be ingesting it and actually enjoying the information, and then it just gets too much, right? Like too much information. It almost fries your dopamine receptors, and you just need a break. Sometimes that is how it is, especially with a boring market. People just need breaks. They can't handle the price not moving in massive moves. But we all know Bitcoin only moves 12 times a year, right? Unfortunately, that's the truth. And as volatility decreases in this market, maybe those 12 days will be a little more exciting than the 12 days in the past, but it will make the 344 days in between excruciatingly boring. What is that? Oh, how was the bear? How does this invalidate? I mean, what we see in this 4-hour chart is just that when we're not moving, which we're not moving, like you can say, well, what do you mean these are just oscillating around the 200 moving average. What you're going to see is if this bear flag doesn't play out down to, where did we say it plays out to? 108 something? 108.6? Yeah. If it doesn't break out and hit that 108.6, it'll come back up probably to about 115 and build out an inverse head and shoulders pattern. And then that might take us up a bit, and that'll build out a head and shoulders pattern because we're just oscillating, doing nothing over a 200 moving average, right? So we're just going to go up over it, then down back, and then up over it, then down till we get one of those 12 days, right? So we could invalidate this by coming up here, but now we are into another pattern, which will have a bull flag and a shoulder of an inverse head and shoulders, and then we'll expect. So let's draw that out. So let's show you what that would be. So let's say we continued up from here back to the 50 moving average, little bit of resistance, and we come up to our channel of ascension and we build it out. And then from there, this is what a building out of a head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulders pattern. If we were to do that little move here, head and shoulders, what is it? September 24th. Yeah. So we break out. That would, it would make sense. It would just take us to the top of this channel of ascension. And then if we get resistance and we get shot down, we will then probably pattern out a head and shoulders, not an inverse, but an actual head and shoulders, and come back down until that massive that massive move up, that one day. You know, it might only be one day in October, one day in November, or maybe, and this isn't a fun thought, but maybe 2 days in October and 2 days in November. That might be the bull market. Celebration of the end of the cycle will maybe only be 4 days. But those 4 days, you know, could change some people's lives depending on how high it goes. Now, on I guess, equally bearish notion, that conversation I had with the person that think he's going to sell, he's still doubled his money, right? But doubling his money, he's a noob retail, is not enough for him. So he will, let's say he does sell with a doubling. Let's say, and I'm not saying he bought $60,000 worth of Bitcoin and now it's 115 or 113 and he made $60,000. He just like put in probably $2,000 and now it's $4,000. So for him, a retail noob / gambler, right? We're not talking about a sophisticated investor. It's someone who scratched 2K together, put it in, doubled, expecting a 10K or a 10X, is taking it off the table, and he'll never come back because it's just not enough juice in it. And then you got to kind of extrapolate that out to the average normie who's out there with a double, right? A 1X, 2X. It's not enough for them, and it's not enough to have retail FOMO in. Now, the only way they really FOMO in is if it gets absolutely out of this world. Right? You know, the 300, the 400K. If we see that in those 4 days in October, November, in those 4 days, that may be enough for retail to come in. But it's a humble opinion of this piano that they'll see the law of large numbers and think that the money got away from them. And then now we will go into the battle of the Titans, Clash of the Titans, the big money, you know, who has the most. As retail moves on to, I don't know, maybe nothing. Maybe the truth of the matter is that retail actually has no money, right? No one ever really thinks about that. Maybe there actually isn't any money left on the table to invest. You know, let's say you've worked a 9 to 5 for 4 years. Everything's doubled. Your wage is not doubled. Your salary has not doubled. Food has doubled. Just food has doubled. It's insane. And Canada's worse. Like Canada, the failed state tax farm of Canada is absolute worst, probably. Like we pay more for steak up here than imported steak. Imported steak's cheaper. Is it better up here? Not really. So if you had a salary from 9 to 5 the past 4 years and everything's doubled but your salary, you have half as much money as you did in 2021. Right? And then a lot of people in 2021 had a bunch of fake government money, right? That you could argue that was the blow off top, was all the fake money getting put in. Well, what else are they going to do with it? Might as well put it into this casino. And with Bitcoin having those 4 days of those 4 massive pump days, the reality of the Bitcoin price is there's probably 4, let's call it 6 days. Multi-sig dummy, Matty, have you heard of the emu or ostrich situation? Yeah, that's even worse. Like, I was my buddy at the squash club and I have been kind of going back and forth about this. Now listen, maybe there's some information that we don't know, right? Maybe there's some key information about the birds that we don't know. Doesn't seem like it. I don't see the key information. Because just like the 4K video of all the hundreds of people in the Utah courtyard could be easily dispelled by the key information, right? Oh, like imagine this. If this is the normal world, we would see some PR person going, listen, people, I know Nobody wants to see the culling of these ostriches. But I have to tell you, if we don't, then this may happen. And there's, I don't know, the medical calamity that would ensue, the possible end of the creation of viruses that might be unstoppable. You know, something stupid and hyperbolic, but they don't do anything. What's worse is that if you take the other side, which I usually do, ostriches have the strongest immune system in the bird family, right? Their eggs have been used for medical experiments and trying to, you go down the wormhole and you'll get to the bottom of where like there's cures for a number of bird viruses, and COVID itself, which is just a cold anyway, if you can even cure those things. But the eggs themselves, this is where the cognitive dissonance in my brain. Well, if the eggs are so valuable, why would they kill them? Why wouldn't they just like put them in a thing and take them somewhere? Like even Bobby Kennedy, E-Money, the Underground Emu Railroad. Exactly. You would think Bobby Kennedy said, hey, I'll take them in Florida. We got this place in Florida for them. And they won't do that. Then now the saddest part, and I don't really feel that sorry for people who toe the party line of it. I'm just doing my job. We've seen that in history. It hasn't really panned out well for the people that have said that. Anyone who ever said I was just doing my job, you really did something bad. 95% of the time, they're not really talking about something amazing they did. Just doing my job seems to relegate the horrific actions they took. Now, are you trying to tell me that some RCMP, or that's our Royal Canadian Mounted Police, it's I don't even know what the hell it is. It's instead of police like in cities, it's like they're in the country. Kind of like your state trooper, I suppose. One of their jobs is to shoot these birds in the head? Like that. Is that what they got? Is that what they're facing possibly today? Like they have to go and shoot them all? Like are they going to inject? Is there a vet that's going to, inject them with some sort of poison that kills them? I don't know. It's sad, but that's the problem with Canada is that revolutions are hard because it's so big, right? So now in order for this to happen, for this to have a massive pushback, people in that region, BC, which is massive, it's bigger than most countries, have to all kind of drive up and do it. So it's harder to coordinate. And now, remember back, diversity is our strength. That's what the psychopaths, it is their strength. Diversity is not the strength of BC because you have all these fractioned communities. This whole city is East Indian. This whole city is black. This whole city is kind of white, right? There's no cohesion to fight back, which why diversity is our strength, and by our government strength, because no one talks, no one's gonna. You're not gonna see a community of white people band together with a community of East Indians. It just won't happen, right? So it's perfect splinter, and that's why you won't see like a revolution in Canada. Same with Ottawa. If they wanted to overthrow the central banker Carney, it's only people in Ottawa. And Canada as a population, I do not represent the normie Canadian by any means. Your nightmare version of a cucked man is the majority of Canadians. Now there's Canadians on this stream. There's like there's 3 or 4 subscribers that are from Canada. I'm assuming that they're probably like-minded. They're in Bitcoin. You can't really, once you get orange pilled, you never really go back, right? So I'm assuming people on this stream from Canada are more or less orange pilled at this point, and we see eye to eye. That's why what I like about this community. when I meet people, like back in the Bitcoin conference, it's almost like, I've used this before, but it's like the bee girl in No Rain, the blind melon. Finally seeing, a courtyard filled with bee girls. That's what it's like meeting other Bitcoiners. Like you know exactly what time it is. There's a bartender at the Jimmy. His name's Judd. It's like we're both working, but we both have our eye on the different ball. We both know what's going on, in the investment world, in Bitcoin, and we're just, running the program. He's serving drinks. I'm playing piano. Our eyes on a whole different ball. Meanwhile, nobody knows what the F's going on. That's the real takeaway. It is interesting. Multi-sig Dummy said that about the ostriches in BC, because the majority of people have no clue. Now, you won't see, like we have what's called the CBC. It's our state-funded propaganda arm of the government. You won't see any stories about it. It may happen now because they're being forced. Their hand is being pushed. But they only show the boomers. Like it should be Canadian Boomer Corporation, because it's just showing to TV sets that have cable. Like, who the fuck has cable? My dad, Boomer, and cable. He was paying $170 for his cable. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, why is it so expensive? It's like, well, that's just how much it is. I'm like, no, it's not how much it is. But for him, he was okay with spending $170. Now, this guy will split a nickel on a Mother's Day present, right? But he'll be $170 for cable only to receive the Canadian Boomer Corporation propaganda. It's almost like a propaganda bath. Just like, oh my God, I'm back in it. This feels so good listening to all this bullshit. And at the end of the day, anything that's coming from a news station is essentially bullshit. Make sure you like and subscribe and share